Welcome back to my channel. I'm your favorite mother of three, Bougie Vintage, and this is another episode of Face the Facts. However, today's episode is going to be dedicated to one person. Okay, we need like a Face the Facts for like the one-offs, like those long emails that might need a lot of attention. So we'll call these segments, I'm drawing blanks. Hey, Bo, I'm gonna jump right into it. Cause girl, I've had enough and I'm sick and tired of this BS. I want some unbiased advice on the matter. Girl, you cannot come to me with something about a narcissist and get unbiased advice. But third party advice for sure, outside looking in. I've been with my husband for almost 9 years. And since the very beginning, his mother and I have had a shaky relationship, to say the least. Welcome to the club, girl. When we were teens, she caught us having sex. I've been caught hiding in her closet once. Just a bunch of petty things that teenagers get themselves into. I'm fully aware that I was in the wrong, and I've apologized for this. Anyway, she's hated me for some time now and isn't afraid to show it. She'll scream at my husband when he's on the phone with me and get him to hang up, call me a dizzy bitch to other people, tell my husband he should cheat on me and shouldn't deal with me, try to set him up with other women, just things like that. The real issue here is your husband. Yeah, we're gonna get into it. I'll give you context once we get to the end of the email. Simply put, she's just a really nasty, narcissistic lady to not only me, but to her son. Yeah. And the thing about... Let me get to the end of this. When I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, she instantly changed up her tune. She immediately told my husband I was more than welcome to go to her house and that I can be there anytime. Ooh-wee. She also told my husband that she wanted to do dinner that same week she found out so me and her could talk. I understood she was probably excited, but I honestly just thought the whole thing was fake. She wasn't interested in having a relationship with me, just wanted access to my baby. Yes. Narcissistic supply. I felt like it was weird for her to try to make amends and try to act as if everything was okay between us just because she found out I was pregnant. I obviously knew that I'd eventually have to talk to her, but at the time, I was like 12 weeks pregnant and was still experiencing morning sickness all day. And the last thing I felt like doing was sitting at a table and pretending that I liked the bitch and that she wasn't calling me out of my name all those years we didn't speak and talking SHIT to anyone who'd listen. Yeah, nah. I told my man to tell her that I wasn't up to it. I told him that I wanted an apology for how she talked about me all those years before we sat down at dinner acting like it was sweet. She took this as I was going to keep her away from my unborn child and ran with that. They are all playing from the same book because girl, like I said, I cannot give you unbiased, but I can give you my experience. And same-ish, different toilet. It wasn't no dinner. It wasn't that. It was my ex, M-I-L, mother-in-law. When I was pregnant with my first, I was putting a boundary up. And the boundary was, they can come for the birth of the child, but they cannot come the week leading up to the birth, because one, we don't know when the baby's coming. You could get a due date, but you can't, it could be wrong. And mine was, okay? You can come for the birth of the child. Once I'm in labor, I'll tell you and you can come. That's all I said. But because of the drama that would ensue when mother-in-law and hubby-hubs were in the same vicinity, I said, I'm not dealing with that while I'm pregnant. So because of that, I don't want to be stressed out the week going into labor. So to combat that, I said, the minute I'm in labor, we're going to call and y'all can come through. The mother-in-law took that and started spewing lies about me trying to keep her from her grandbabies that aren't her grandbabies because her son wasn't her son. She signed him over to the government. So technically, these grandbabies were not hers, but we didn't regard her that way, you know? So she was over there spewing lies saying that I'm trying to keep the babies from her, that I hate her and all this stuff. And I'm like, didn't I say she could come? Didn't I say that? I said, you can't come the week that you want to come or when you're trying to come because of XYZ. This is our last moments as single people, childless single people. We want to enjoy that. We don't want it filled with drama and toxicity because that's what that person brought. And it was relayed that way. And actually now I don't know how it was relayed. I don't, but I'm pretty sure it was relayed that way. And it was spun and I was made to look like some bad guy. And I'm like, for what? And then what happened was the ex-monster-in-law told her, I think at the time, 12? Was she 12? 14-year-old daughter. All this ish talk. 14-year-old daughter gets on Snapchat, is threatening me, the pregnant girl. But shout out to her because, you know, shout out to her. She's grown up since then. This is a long time ago. We love her. But like, she was online threatening the pregnant girl, calling me out of my name on her Snapchat, pretty much talking to the general public because a lot of people that live obviously in my city knew who I was, or her little friends, like they watched my videos and stuff. And so she was broadcasting to the world that I'm not who I say I am because her mother fed her head with foolishness. And so now she's online saying all kinds of things that were never said. And I'm out here looking crazy. And it's like, for what? Because I said that she couldn't come the week that she wanted to come. And I still forgave that after the fact, but that's neither here nor there. But your situation is mirroring mine. They play from the same damn book, okay? They lie, cheat, steal, whatever, okay? She took this as I was going to keep her away from my unborn child and ran with that. So many things were projected onto me, which was crazy to me because I'm like, where's this energy coming from? Like, I'm lost in the sauce. And this is why narcissists are like so draining. Because you don't even know what you're dealing with. Like, you have no idea until you come out of it and you look back at the situation and you're like, that was crazy. Like, I really went through that, you know? And you get some understanding. Anyway, she cried to my husband's dad, telling him that I planned to keep my child away from them. All because I said I wasn't trying to do dinner as soon as she decided she wanted to. Because control, okay? That's one of Narc's biggest thing, control. So if they can't control it, it's like they'd be paraphrasing stuff, adding stuff, saying you said stuff you didn't say, do. It's like, where was I when this conversation was had? Because that's not what I said. Please pull out the recording device next time and play back what I said. Without going into too much detail, let's just say this ish went on my whole pregnancy. She refused to apologize because apparently I wasn't supposed to know what she said about me. And since it wasn't said to me, it shouldn't matter. Asinine, ridiculous, outrageous, stupid, absolutely dumb. So you want access to my child, but you were dogging me out? No, ma'am. Go to hell with that. No, ma'am. No. She actually said, I'm old school. How I was brought up, the mother is supposed to be shown respect. I'm a matriarch. Okay, well, go be a matriarch over there, ma'am. Because one thing we're not going to do, disrespect. I don't care if you 68, 39, 4. I don't care if you are 83, 49, 46. I don't care what age you are. What we're not going to do is disrespect at any age, okay? You respect me, I'm going to respect you. You disrespect me, all bets are off. Period. So you're not going to be entitled to me or my energy because you're older than me, because you're the matriarch. What kind of tomfoolery is that? Please, girl. She had even went as far to say that if she had to apologize to me, she wanted nothing to do with my child, according to my husband. I later called her out on it, and again, she refused to take accountability. My father-in-law did nothing but defend her my whole pregnancy, and for this, the both of them were completely booted from the whole pregnancy. One thing about being pregnant, you're carrying a baby. You need to be at peace at all times. You need peace. You need to be pampered. There's some countries, girl, where when you're pregnant and even after you give birth, baby, you are just catered to. You are just catered to. Or some cultures where you don't lift a finger the whole entire 9 months because the baby needs to be healthy and happy and growing inside of you. It's only in North America where we see women are constantly having miscarriages or having stressful pregnancies and blah, 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 blah. Or we see it at higher rates in North America because the burden over here in the Western world is crazy. It's crazy. The burden that's on the woman and the type of people that we're dealing with and the culture of North American society where women and pregnant women are concerned. We be going to work. I worked through each one of my pregnancies. I didn't take no damn maternity leave. What's that, girl? Maternity leave? I'm self-employed. I don't even have that luxury. But like most people, especially in America, y'all get like what, 3 months of maternity leave? 3 weeks? Some of y'all, 6 weeks? That's not enough time. And that's why the babies are messed up. Like, that's crazy. In Canada, we do have a year maternity leave, and some extenuating circumstances may have you longer. Paid for. You know? It's crazy to me that people will go out of their way to stress you out while you are trying to bring a child into the world. You're already exhausted. You're pregnant, your back hurts, your coochie lips are feeling like they're falling off of your body. Your titties hurt. Your brain is foggy. Your joints are hurting. Your muscles are hurting. Your joints feel like they're disconnected when you're walking, when you're rolling out of bed. You can't hold your piss. Like, what else? There's so many things that are happening. You're overly exhausted because you're literally expending most of your energy growing another human being. So to add stress to a woman that is carrying is beyond selfish. It's unheard of. Like, it's just ridiculous. And these types of people don't need to be around pregnant people, period. A narcissist is the last person that should be around a pregnant person. My first pregnancy was stressful. My second pregnancy, easy breezy. And I was so happy during my second pregnancy and like everything went smooth. Third pregnancy, back to being extremely stressful. That stress translated into my energy and it made the pregnancies even harder. And you see how it affects your kids. You see that in the way that your kids act as they grow. You see. Because that energy, they could feel it. If you have a complicated pregnancy and there's stressful things going around you, that it's energy. It's going into the baby. And people don't realize that. That's why when it comes to boundaries, it's important to set them and keep them in place. Put up those Wakanda forever roadblocks, girl. Anyway, let me continue. My husband actually played both sides in the beginning. He would side with whoever he spoke to last at first, and it pissed me off. He tried to keep me happy, and then he'd go to see his mom, and she'd cry to him, making him feel bad, and then his father would get on him too, kind of just sealing the deal and making him feel obligated to his mom's feelings. Okay, so if you do any research about narcissistic mothers and their children, narcissistic mother and her son, whether the son is also bred or groomed into becoming a narcissist, or if his I don't know what word to use, the way that he ends up living his life is to try to please his narcissist mother, which he will never be able to do. And so what you're describing here is very much that. Your husband fawns. He's a people pleaser. That's why he's taking both sides, because he is essentially scared of his mother. They don't like to admit that either. They're terrified of their mother or how their mother makes them feel. And so they fawn to her because they're forever trying to live up to whatever standard that their mother wants them to be at. Like, I'm sure his mom only talks about the how accomplished he is and how great of a son he is when he's doing, but if he's disappointed or she's disappointed, she ain't got nothing to say about him. She don't even want to talk to him. You know what I mean? So if that's how she's gone on since the time he was born up until now, your husband is probably dealing with abandonment issues, even though he was raised by his mother. He's also dealing with communication styles that have issues because of his communication style with his mom. His mom is always guilting him, because that's what a narcissist mother will do to her child, is guilt them. Some of the things you guys email me, some of the stories you guys tell me privately about these situations, once I share my situation and you're like, oh my God, this is what I went through, I'm like, I'm gagged most of the time. But like, so many people come to me and tell me their mother blames them for X, Y, and Z and ain't got nothing to do with them, or their mother treats them one way and treats their other sibling the other way, and blah, 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 blah. And it's disgusting. How do you as a mother even do that? How do you as a mom sit there and try to either pin your kids against each other, or treat one kid better than the other, treat your son better than your daughter, or your daughter better than your son? Like, how do you as a mom do that? What makes you think that you're a good mom if you do that? Or if you can't have a relationship with all your kids. You got 7 kids and only got a good relationship with one of them? The one that's a doctor? Like, what? What? Or you only brag about one of your kids, the one that makes the most money? No shade, Miss Jenner. What's going on? What's going on with these mamas? I think you should do some research on it, watch some YouTube videos about it, and try to understand better what your husband has gone through, because his brain needs a rewire that is probably never going to happen. When I gave birth, all hell broke loose. I had preeclampsia to the point where I was seeing black dots and getting migraines. So basically it was really serious. I was being induced and everything was so sudden. I told my husband he could let one of his parents know, or his sister if he wanted. Tell me why this calls my father-in-law crying because she was upset that my husband didn't call her directly to let her know. Father-in-law then calls my husband, cursing him out and yelling because he needed to call his mother and she was so hurt. Sounds like the daddy has been MK Ultra'd as well. Okay, the daddy is under the narcissistic mama spell too. Girl, it's a mess. It's a mess. And a narcissist will prey on those they deem as weak. They test the waters. They see how much you're going to be forgiving, if you're empathetic, if you're this, if you're that, if what are you willing to take from them that they're dishing out that they know is toxic and problematic. So the mother obviously went for a weaker man. She didn't, I bet you any money the mom in this relationship is the one calling all the shots. Because why would the father curse out the son? Because he's trying to please mama too. This is crazy, okay? Mind you, I'm laid up, scared as hell, and in pain. I told him if he called his mother, he was getting kicked the F out, because his last concern should have been his mother and her hurt feelings at that time. Exactly. Giving birth is dangerous. I don't think people get it. Like, y'all don't, people don't get it. Giving birth is so dangerous. The mama could die, the baby could die. Both could die, one could die, the other could live. Like, giving birth is extremely dangerous and complicated. It's no small feat. So for you to be making and taking phone calls while I am pushing a human out of my hoo-ha, you need to get your life, sir. Taking phone calls worried and stressed out about the hurt, your mama's hurt. Girl, my coochie's hurt. What you talking about? What's going on? No, these men need to get some spines and some backbones, okay? They need to get spines and backbones and boundaries and stand up to these crazy mothers. Because at the end of the day, you don't live with your mama. You live with your wife, your girlfriend, whoever. okay? That's who you live with now. So what are you doing over there trying to please your mama? For what? What's she doing for you? Like, what is going on? What is going on? And not even just that. While this woman is giving birth, the mother is creating chaos and making it about her. The woman has preeclampsia. She is literally in an extremely compromising position, and the mama is over here crying, taking the attention away from the baby that is being born, stressing out the mom, the pregnant mother, further because her son didn't call her to tell. You can't make this up. They're all the same. You cannot make this up. You cannot make this up. He ended up not calling her and just dealing with the ruthless text coming through his phone all night from my father-in-law. I gave birth the next morning. Key detail, I was only allowed 2 people in the room, so I chose my mom and my husband. My husband posted pictures the next day, and my mom was in a couple pictures holding my daughter. When his mother saw the photos, she lost her ish and started calling her whole family, crying, telling everyone I was keeping the baby away from her. I'm getting triggered reading this. I'm getting triggered reading this. The other part of my story that I've shared as well is that because of what the little sister did, obviously they weren't coming. However, I told the mom, I said, listen, you can come. I had given birth already. I said, you can come, but little sis, she got a 3-month probation. It's giving job. It's giving new job. Okay, she got 3-month probation. She can come at 3 months. Mama said, absolutely not doing that and blah, 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 blah. She's not going to punish her daughter like that and all kind of foolishness. And I'm like, you're enabling the behavior. You're letting her know that what she did was okay. Because I would have been like, deuces, I'm going to go see my grandbaby. Deuces, see you never. You should have never posted what I said to you, little girl. But she couldn't do that because she was equally as guilty and wrong because she knew she had no business telling the little girl whatever the hell she was telling her to make the little girl think that she could go and post on the damn Snapchat. That's crazy. So she decided to sit out the 3-month probation, but because she decided to sit out the 3-month probation, she still continued to say that who, moi, was keeping who away from who. No, I said you're keeping yourself away because I told you could come. But you said, no, you're not going to come without. It's the same energy. It's the same thing. The man posted pictures. Her mother, because you literally are only allowed 2 people. Who are you going to choose? Your mom and your man. That's who you're going to bring to the hospital, okay? Now, for the first birth, my mom was hiding up in the bathroom. She was like, too much pain, not doing this again. So when I got pregnant the second time and the third time, my mom was like, I'm not coming with you. You're on your own, sis. God bless you, okay? Anoint the coochie with oil. Bless it, okay? But I am not coming to the hospital. No, I don't want to see you in pain like that. So, but yeah, for my first birth, it was my mom and my ex. But for the other 2, we were solo dolo. Mind you, this happened the day I brought my daughter home. So she found a way to make that day about herself too. My father-in-law was cursing my husband out about it as well and saying we were wrong because my mom was allowed in the room, but his mother wasn't. It's always, with a narcissist, it's always going to be a dick measuring contest. It's always going to be a dick measuring contest, and they're always going to come up short, okay? I'm just saying. Why are we measuring dicks here? Well, her mom was there, so why can't I be there too? Ma'am. Get it together. How old are you? Like, I can't. I took about a month to myself to heal and to get to know my baby. And I finally decided I'd let his mom meet my daughter. Things seemed to be going fine, I guess, for about 2 months until she gave my 3-month-old COVID. She had been feeling sick and testing herself for a day or 2, and not once did she mention it to anyone. Selfish. That happened at my house as well, but not with the grandma. The chuckster was feeling a little under the weather for 2 days and didn't say anything. And on the 3rd day, we found out because the chuckster was freezing cold and shivering, and I'm like, it's not cold up in here. He said gathered by the fireplace eating food. I said, sitting by the fireplace eating food? You better not be sick. You better not be sick. Okay? Come to find out, COVID positive. And I'm obviously pissed. Because how are you sick for 2 days or feeling under the weather for 2 days and not saying anything, and there's a newborn? And what? Not even just a newborn. There's literally so many people around you and you don't say anything. That is beyond selfish. Like, that is just, it's crazy. You say something right away. I know we generally have to treat it like a common cold, but it's not. Because of the respiratory issues that come with it, like, you don't want to give a baby that. So, or anybody that, really. It's so hard already to even just deal with one sick kid. And now that Stacey's in school, you know, sick in my house has become so normal. You know, we just live every week we sick, chat. But like prior to that, like when this situation happened, nobody was in school. We weren't really going out. We were locked in the house. When that COVID thing happened, I was like, are you crazy? How could you be sick for 2 days and not say anything? So it's very reminiscent of this as well, girl. This whole email. Anyway, she had gotten gifts for my daughter and wanted my husband to go and pick them up. He ended up bringing COVID home to both me and my 3-month-old, and she was in the hospital for a few days behind it. See, no. It was pretty effing bad. I told him to just let his mom know that she needed to be careful next time, and if she's not feeling well, to let us know, especially because we have a baby at home. She immediately went into defense mode and called him a bad son and scolded him for not checking to see how she was doing and told him to lose her number. She did not check on my daughter at all during this time she was sick because they don't care. They only care about their image. They don't even care about themselves. They care about how they look and if their pockets are going to be affected by anything. Other than that, everything else is free game. Like, it's always about image. Image first, money second, and wherever the chips fall after that, it is what it is. But that's just how they operate. So don't ever expect, when you're not feeling well, for a narcissistic person to inquire about how you're feeling. No, it's always about them. They're not going to call and check up on you and be like, hey, you feeling any better today? No, I have been sick many a times and I've never been checked on. Never. Not how you feeling today. Not a belly rub, not a back rub, nothing. I was effing livid, Bo. You caused all this bull about my child while I was pregnant for you to act like this now that she's here? Then she had the audacity to hit me up with a sarcastic ass apology. It was, well, obviously I didn't mean to get her sick. I'm sorry she's sick. But I do everything I can to prevent this, and I always make sure I'm safe. Obviously, I knew it wasn't done purposely, but it was her behavior afterward that had me done with her. We all went no contact after that. This was 9 months ago. So this month, my daughter turned 1, and we had a little party for her. I invited my husband's 16-year-old sister, a few other kids, and we lived it up. I went to the store and was gone for about 15 minutes. That was the only time I was gone. The next day, my husband tells me that his sister asked if she could FaceTime their mom, and he gave permission. I was pissed. I know it sounds petty, but this beep hasn't been there at all. She hasn't been woman enough to talk to her son herself and tell him that she's sorry and wants to be there for her granddaughter. Why did she deserve a FaceTime call with my daughter because it was her birthday? And more importantly, I feel like my husband and sister-in-law did some sneaky ish behind my back, because why wait until I leave to make that call? Very that. Because your sister-in-law and the brother or your husband are all victims of the mom's behavior. Her narcissistic rage, her narcissistic tendencies, her controlling, her manipulative, coercive, and what's the other word? I forgot. But her victim mentality. Obviously, they're going to try to please her, whether it's sending her pictures or FaceTime her or whatever. Baby, you're not invited. You don't get to say it. Okay? Like, What? Personally, if it were me in the situation, I would definitely be addressing my husband. But because I know that he tends to do the back and forth, and okay, that's your mom, right? Like, if it's your mom and you want to be in that toxic cycle for the rest of your life, then you do that. But I'm not going to do it with you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go through that emotional turbulence constantly where she's disrespecting me and I'm just supposed to sit there and take it because she's your mother. No. Just because somebody gives birth to you does not mean that they any bit of a mama to you. And that's what people need to really understand, because you cannot carry on like this and nobody holds you accountable. It's for her son, your husband, to stand up and say, the way you treat my wife is not okay. I went through so much stuff throughout my childhood. I have tried to please you in every way that I can for my whole life, and I cannot measure up. So I am distancing myself from you. And until you are willing to take accountability and work on yourself and address the fact that you are indeed a narcissist and go to therapy and figure out how to live life, not sucking the energy and life out of every room, I don't want anything to do with you. And me, my wife, and my child are going to be over here on this side. But I'm not going to keep going back and forth with you. And I'm not going to try to please you anymore. And I'm not going to disrespect my wife or go behind my wife's back to please you when you've been disrespecting her. Because all that's telling the narcissist is that what she does and how she treats you is okay. Every time that the son, aka your husband, runs back to her or does something behind your back, she's fed. Her narcissistic supply is fed because she knows she still has control. The only way to rid a narcissist is to cut them off cold turkey. You can't do it. You can't have anything to do with them. And it sucks, because how do you say to your husband, you got to choose between me or your mom? You don't want to say that. Who wants to say that? Nobody wants to say that. But if you have been sitting here witnessing the toxicity and you are now dragged into it, it's going to be for him to choose. It's going to be for him to put on his big boy tidy whities and make a decision. At the end of the day, your family that you make, that you create outside of your model home, is the family that's most important. That's why you're supposed to leave the nest, okay? You're supposed to leave the nest and make your own life and your own rules and create your own, do things differently than you experience them. You know what I mean? That's what you're supposed to do. So it doesn't make sense that your husband is being forced to go back and forth between you and the mom. That makes absolutely no sense. And also, in these situations, you see that the mom will poison the son and be like, I told you about these types of girls, or this type of girl and that type of girl, and not to blah, 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 blah. But the gag is that no matter who child, so whether it's a son or a daughter, no matter who the child brings home, the mother will find issue with it because the mother needs her supply. And the mother cannot get a supply if there's another person there. So whether she gets her supply from her daughter or whether she gets her supply from her son, you know, it doesn't matter if the son brings home a wife or the daughter brings home a husband. Nobody's ever going to be good enough for the mother, because the mother will feel like she's losing something, like she's giving up control if her son or daughter gets married and leaves her to be lonely and wallow in her own sorrow. And so even though she has the husband, who is also supplied for her clearly because he's there cussing out your husband every other damn week on behalf of the mama, it's not enough. You can never give enough to a narcissistic person. That's why she's not just content with whatever she gets from her husband. What she seeks from her husband is not the same thing that she's going to seek from her other two children. So whatever she's seeking from the 16-year-old might do something for the mother that the that her son obviously can't do because her son is now grown and married. And the husband can only do so much for the narcissistic mother as well. So everybody or every supply that a narcissist has is there for a different purpose. The mother might get supply from whatever job she has. Like, there's so many different ways that a narcissistic person can get their supply. So your husband is a supply for your mom, but because she sees that he's married and toggles between the two of you, it's hard for her to get everything she needs from him. So she tries to disturb your peace, because eventually what the narcissistic mother tries to do is break up the relationship between the the wife and the husband, because they want their supply back. And so they come back and they pet them and they're like, oh, my son. Like, they pet them, they come back, I told you she was good for nothing. And that's what's going to happen. If it gets to a point where you decide you can't take it anymore and you don't want nothing to do with it, and your husband is kind of at a crossroads there, and it just creates too much friction, and you guys break up, God forbid, okay, we don't want marriages ending here. If that is what happens, when he goes back to the mother, she's going to feel like she won. She's going to feel like, yes, I have my original supply back. And then she's going to be talking to him and being even worse towards you, because her goal is to make sure that the son is against you, even though you are the mother of his children. It makes no sense. Why would you ever want that? But that's because of her own traumas, right? So whatever traumas she has from her childhood are the reason that she would even be inflicting this kind of stuff on her child. Like, if you go and dig into her damn family history, you're probably going to discover some stuff, okay? You probably already know what it is. If she has any kind of abandonment or anything like that. So, and sometimes there's nothing there. Sometimes people are just how they are for whatever reason. But the end goal, if she is spewing this kind of toxic stuff towards you, talking mess about you while you're literally married to him, there's no way that she's in support of your union. There's no way she's in support of your union. And you would have to be like, well, why? I don't know this lady from a hole in the wall, from a can of paint, nothing, and it's been like this since the beginning. That's where your mind would go, because it's like, well, yeah, I don't know this lady. Why is she so vile to me? Like, what is going on? What did I do? You know what I mean? And that's what doesn't make sense. And that's how you know it's not you per se, because it's been like this since the beginning. And usually, unless you came in there with an attitude talking about, this is my man, and I'm gonna take it away from you. Like, a lot of the times these women are trying to be with their freaking sons. It's weird. It's giving weirdo energy. Like, ma'am, go find you a man. Okay? And if you have a man, get a man with that's gonna not take your mess, because obviously her husband acts like a freaking what. Okay, he's got his tail caught between his legs. Okay, it's giving supreme tuck. Like, his thing is tucked, girl. So if she was with a man that actually stood up to her and like didn't take no mess and wasn't fawning over her, she probably wouldn't be able to carry out the crap that she's carrying, because she's always sending somebody. And that's how narcissists are too. They'll send their minions. They don't do it on their own, because that doesn't make them feel powerful. They like to feel like they're at the top of the totem pole and they can delegate. And then you are left by yourself. Like, fight the battle by yourself. So be wary, girl. Anyway, there's more to the email. It was extremely sneaky for them to call her when you left the house. Because if you guys weren't being sneaky, then why didn't you call her while I was still there? The 16-year-old, oh baby, she wouldn't be back. Okay? Like, that's an actual problem. I don't like when people do things behind my back. And a lot of stuff has gone on behind my back. And I didn't say nothing. Okay? A lot of stuff. And it's disturbing that you would even think to do that. But that's because they've been conditioned to think that they have to be sneaky in order to please Mama Bear. So in a sense, it's not their fault. You have to know what type of demon you're dealing with. This is not no small thing. And that's actually why, from the title of the email, that's why I decided I got to do this one on its own, girl, because there's a lot to cover when you're dealing with a third-party narcissist person trying to wreak havoc and chaos in your life. Some people telling me that I'm being petty and that I need to be a bit more considerate to the fact that she's his mother. No, no, no. Why am I being considerate to somebody that is disrespecting me constantly? And every time I forgive, they disrespect me a little bit more because they see that I'm forgiving. They see that they have an in still because it's so complicated, because you're like, okay, yeah, I don't want to be a bitch. I don't want to be a bitch. For what? You're supposed to treat family like family, but if the family ain't familying, they're not family. And that's just what it is. And that's why you need to understand how it's okay to cut people off, to distance yourself from people if they are toxic. If they're not toxic, then there's no reason to cut them off. I ain't never cut off a healthy person in my life. If you're healthy, I don't need to cut you off. For what? I want you around me because you have good energy. But if your energy is gutty, koro, why am I going to have you around me? For what? For what? There's not one single reason you could give me to have me keep a toxic person or somebody that brings the energy down in the room or somebody that's always making an argument. Like, why would I ever want to have them around me? That doesn't make any sense. You have to protect your peace. You have to protect your sanity, because what a narcissistic person will do is literally suck your blood, literally suck the blood out of your neck like a vampire and leave you to be a shell of yourself while you have to pick up the pieces and you have to deal with it. And it might not be in your home directly, but if it's indirectly in your home and you kind of have to navigate it, what are you going to do? Because I'm sure when you got with your man, you did not have this plan that you were gonna, okay, so I'm gonna marry this man and I'm gonna have his baby and then I'm gonna cut the mom off. Nobody thinks that way except for the narcissistic people. Why would anybody think that way? It takes a village to raise a child. But if the people in the village are sickos, they gotta get booted. Like, it takes a village to raise a child. So no mother that is a good mother is ever gonna have the mindset of, I want my family all to myself. Nobody can have my family. No, baby. These kids, and your baby's just a baby. So like, she's only one. She ain't start running amok just yet. She probably started a little bit, but she ain't start. When the kids get to running amok and you realize, oh man, like, okay, this is the kind of structure I want. This is how I want my house. This is how I want lessons to be learned. This is how I want, you need a village. You need a village. So no mom is turning down help from another person that's supposed to be a mother unless there's an issue there. Unless you can see that the person is sick or problematic or yada, yada, yada. Because at the end of the day, you do not just let anybody and everybody around your kids. That would be crazy to do. But if you've had enough experiences and you see enough patterns in people and you realize, you know what, as much as I would love for you to be here, I can't. Because I see how messed up your own kids are. So I don't want that for my kids. And you haven't changed. Because you, as the mom, you have to go based on, one, what you've seen, two, what you've heard from your spouse, and three, you have to understand that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So it's very important for you to understand that so that you can make executive decisions where your child is concerned. At the end of the day, you are the one that has to raise the child full time. Okay, it's you that has to raise the child full time, you and your husband. So if you feel or if you have seen anything that is not okay and you can't even address it, because if you address it, it's going to create some kind of problem and it's going to be twisted, and that person can't be around the child, because what is that person going to do other than twist and coerce the child? A lot of the times people will involve children where they're not supposed to. Children are not adults. So like you don't go to your kid and talk to your kid about anything that is adult related. You don't do it. The other day, this is completely unrelated. The other day, there was a picture of Ari, and apparently she was itching her her eye with her middle finger. And Yosan was sitting on her tummy, and he thought that his mom was flicking him off. So he flicked his mom off. And she posted, and I'm like, this is not cute. This is, one, learned behavior. Two, whatever you have exposed your children to is what they're going to absorb like sponges, right? My whole thing was, why would he see her itching her eye with her middle finger and automatically decide he's going to give her the finger? My kids don't even know what the finger is. I don't use that, okay? I don't use it. They don't see it. I don't have stuff on the TV with it. Like, my kids don't see that kind of stuff, so they wouldn't even know. Like, if I'm doing this with my finger and my eye, my kid's not going to go and think it's okay to flick me off. They're not even if my kid's never seen this before. My kid doesn't know what this is. My kids never see me do it to anybody, never see me do it to my mom, nothing. They're 4, 3, and 18 months. They don't know what a middle finger is. So to me, you have to have your kids around people that know what boundaries are, and the correct boundaries for children and the correct boundaries for adults. What's okay, what's not okay. Because even if I did use this, you think my kid could ever just give me the finger because they think I'm giving them the finger? Why would... No. Absolutely not. It's not normal. It's not okay. It's not cute. It's just they don't know anything like that. They don't know anything like that. I don't talk to my kids about anything adult related. You know what I talk to my kids about? Books. Whatever they want to talk to me about. But I'm not going to go to my kid and be like, do you know what your grandma said to me? Do you know your grandma called me a bitch? Like, do you know that? What's up, bitch? Oh, I'll tell you about that later. Girl, for what? No. Like, I can't. Anyway, let me continue reading. The email's almost done. Some people are telling me that I'm being petty and that I need to be a bit more considerate to the fact that she is his mother and it's probably hard for him to not have her around for his first child. I get that. I get that too. But why am I expected to rug sweep her awful behavior to both me and my child? My husband said he did it because he knew it would make her a little happy to see our daughter for her birthday. And again, I'm wondering why the F he's concerned about her being happy with him when she still hasn't even reached out herself. Exactly, because he's fawning. You really got to do some research about the mother-son narcissistic relationship. You have to. It's so important for you to understand that dynamic so you can better navigate your relationship. I didn't get to navigate that until after my relationship was dissolved. So I'm still learning. I'm still processing. But it makes me better understand why their dynamic is or was the way it was and is the way it is now, and also how that plays a role in my life after the fact, you know what I mean? And how it plays a role in my kids' lives. So I need to understand those things, and it's important for you to get it so that you can have a good relationship with your husband, whether his mama is in the picture or not. I ain't got a relationship with either of them mother effers, so so it is what it is, you know what I mean? But it's important to understand how to navigate that so you know how to position yourself, and also open your husband's eyes to what he's in, because he doesn't know. People don't know they're in narcissistic abusive relationships. They don't know whether their mom is a narcissist, their dad is a narcissist. Most people are just coming onto this word, and that's why they say it's overused and yada 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 yada. And I've spoke about this before, where you have to be shown 9 out of 12 signs to be officially diagnosed a narcissist, right? So if you bring up the chart to your husband and you say, read this. Don't even tell him what it's for. Just read this. And if he comes back to you and he's like, why did you make me read this? And you're like to him, I just wanted your opinion on it. If he brings up his mama on his own free will, he brings up his mama on his own free will. He admitted that it's hard for him because he's been conditioned his whole life to cater to her happiness, and that if she wasn't happy with him, that nothing else mattered. And I'm really starting to feel like I'm married to a mama's boy. Not to mention his dad is now pressing him about talking to his mom again. Am I being petty here? Am I justified with how I'm feeling? And if so, how do I go about this? My own mother tells me that I need to try to make something work because it's my daughter's family and I'm keeping her away from her family. Shake my head. I just feel like nobody sees where I'm coming from. I see you, girl. I see you. I feel you. I hear you. I respect you. Then again, I genuinely hate this bitch. And that could be clouding my judgment a lot. I feel like my husband and his whole family live to please my mother-in-law, and he's only been able to stay this strong and not talk to her because he hasn't been around her. I don't know anymore. What do I do? See, this is where it gets tough and complicated because, yes, like I said, you want that family dynamic for your child. There's nobody that doesn't want that. It's like, that's like a given. You know what I mean? But there comes a time when you realize that your boundaries are not respected. There comes a time when you realize your boundaries will never be respected. And how do you allow somebody around that doesn't respect your boundaries? Or how do you allow somebody around that your husband has expressed that throughout his whole entire childhood or throughout his whole entire life, the only thing that ever mattered was his mother's happiness. His own happiness doesn't matter. His dad's happiness doesn't matter. His sister's happiness doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is how happy mama is. And as long as mama's happy, everything is smooth sailing. But mama's never happy. That's the part that we're leaving out here. Mama's never happy. She's never going to be happy because it's a bottomless pit. I always say the cups have holes in the bottom of them because you're going to be pouring into that cup for life and it's never going to be full. Then your jug is out and you're sat there trying to get more water, but the ocean's dried up. The taps ain't working. What are you going to do? So I encourage you to don't force the issue onto your husband. That's one thing you don't want to do. However, you do want to shed light. You want to show him the 12 traits of narcissism, okay? Bring it to his attention, let him read it. On your own watch, it doesn't need to be in front of your husband. You need to do the research on the narcissistic mother and son dynamic so you can better position yourself and navigate that relationship. The other thing you need to do is start couples therapy. Okay, you guys need to get into couples therapy so you can address these issues. If your husband is open to couples therapy, this will be so good for you because if a therapist is telling your husband, well, this is the problem with your mother, XYZ, that might just be the thing that shifts the sphere or the ball into you guys' family's corner. Because at the end of the day, it's not about not giving his mother access to your children or your child, whatever, you know. It's about when and if she does have access to your children or your child, that you and your husband are on the same page. And if your mother-in-law disrespects your boundaries, and by your, I mean yours and your husband's boundaries collective as a family unit regarding your child, because you guys share your child, then there will be no issue because you're on the same page. So if you guys are in therapy and you guys come up with this plan and you guys respect the plan and decide and put your foot down and say, okay, we're going to give mom access or mama-in-law, whatever. We're going to give her access to our child, but these are our rules. And we are agreeing on these. We're shaking them. Girl, write up a contract if you have to. We're going to do this. And should any of these rules be broken, there are no more chances. And we will express to her what the rules are. And we will not be guilted after the fact. She's not going to cry her little crocodile tears. She's not going to do none of that stuff. to make us feel like we're doing something bad by setting boundaries. If you set a boundary and somebody tries to guilt you or make you feel bad for setting that boundary, oh baby, that ain't the person for you. Okay, that person shouldn't be around you. Because one thing you should never feel bad about is setting a boundary. Boundaries are there for what? To protect you. To protect you. To protect your child. Those are the things that I need you to do. So the first step is introduce your husband to narcissism. People think that they know what narcissism is. Girl, they have no idea. I had no idea what narcissism was. Had no idea. Okay? Introduce your husband to the topic of narcissism. On your own accord, figure out the dynamic and the childhood, because your husband's inner child is a mess. Figure that out. Get it together. Bring up couples therapy and individual therapy, because y'all need both. You need individual therapy, especially after becoming a mom. And your husband needs individual therapy after dealing with his mother, okay? And you guys, especially now that there's a baby involved, you guys need couples therapy, because communication and a healthy home are like top tier, okay? These are the things that you need. Love, lots of love, understanding, commitment. Those are the things that you really need to have the best outcome for your baby, okay? And for you guys, like this is the best possible thing that you guys could do, is go to therapy. If therapy is expensive, or if you think therapy is expensive, think about how expensive it's going to be in the long run when your child is running around with issues because y'all didn't go to therapy. That's what you should think about. Do we want to repeat? No. So that's really all you can do. But don't feel bad, because if you're dealing with somebody that's draining you, you cut them off. If the doctor tells you you have cancer and it's spreading, what you gonna do? Get it removed if they can remove it? They're gonna do everything they can to remove it. And that's how we have to treat people. If people are cancers or venomous or just vile, you gotta remove them. I hope I was able to help you, girl, because I get it 100%. But don't ever think that you're wrong for not wanting to be disrespected. And that's the crazy thing about narc abuse. You are constantly disrespected, disregarded. You're not heard, you're not felt, you're not seen. And you're always forced to sweep it under the rug. But there's no room for that anymore. Baby, the rug is on the ceiling, okay? We done swept too many things under it. If we're always working around mama and pleasing mama, how does that leave anybody? Like, everybody needs to be happy. It can't only be mommy being happy. Mom has to be happy. Wife has to be happy. Daughter has to be happy. Father-in-law has to be happy. Husband has to be happy. Everybody deserves, sorry, not even has to be. Everybody deserves to be happy. And if everybody's happiness is put to the side or to the back for the mother, that doesn't make any sense. That makes absolutely no sense. So you have your hands full, but that's the homework I'm leaving you with, girl. Okay, let's give it teacher ball. I love you guys all so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this individual be with the T. Girl, wrong video, girl. I hope you guys enjoyed this individual Face the Facts. Sometimes you guys send me emails and I'm like, yeah, this needs its own video, girl. Okay, but because of the slight changes on my channel, I felt like this would fit in with the rest of my content that is geared towards this topic. So that's why I did this. If you want to email me for Face the Facts, you can at facingthefacts@gmail.com. It's on the screen and it's also in the description box. I love you all so much, and I'll definitely see you in the next one.